Afternoon. It's really an honor today to introduce today's speakers. But before I do, I'd like to take a moment to recognize someone very special. I first learned about peer initiative in 2018 when Miss Sarah Jolie, the librarian at Sam Houston High School, was a finalist for the Norman Siraj Third Service Award, which honors Louisiana educators who go above and beyond service to the communities. Sarah is here with us today, and while she may prefer to stay out of the spotlight, I can't let this moment pass without recognizing you, Sarah. Would you stand and let us thank you for all that you do? It was through Sarah that I first became aware of this suicide epidemic, which is devastating our young people in Louisiana. And while that realization was sobering, it introduced me to something which is far more powerful: hope. Hope in the form of peer initiative, an organization that has spent the last 10 years empowering students to support each other. And today we have the privilege of hearing from Peer Initiative's CEO and co-founder, Ken Brown, who, by the way, was the 2013 recipient of the Norman Siraj Third Service Award. But more importantly, we're going to hear from the heart of the movement, the students. Jasmine Wooten, a senior at Sam Houston High School, will share how her personal experiences led her to peer initiative and how she sits with students in crisis and how her work has literally saved lives. We're going to hear from Ashland Roberts. He's a senior at Iowa High School, and he'll speak about the rigorous training that these students go through. It's the same training that's used by the U.S. military, and how it prepares them to intervene when their peers are struggling. And we're going to hear from Evelyn DeRouche, a senior at Zachary High School. She'll bring us really closer to home, sharing her personal journey and the urgent need for mental health support right here for the students in Greater Baton Rouge. Now, these students are not just witnesses to the crisis, they're part of the solution. They're stepping up, supporting their peers. They're changing the conversation about mental health in Louisiana. So now please help me in welcoming Ken Brown and the Peer Initiative team. Ken.
Thank you so much for having us here today. We are truly honored to be here for this historic organization and to be speaking to you. I already see some partners in the audience that we've worked with. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Frank Campbell. Frank Campbell actually trained me in suicide prevention. Frank, this is your legacy. So I'm going to be quick. I told the kids I'm going to time myself so we all have a moment to speak. But just a brief history of our organization. In 2014, Sarah and I were both teaching at the same high school, Sam Houston in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and we lost 4 students between February and November. So by the time November hit and we had the 4th loss, we knew we had to do something. So the first loss was, my son was a freshman at the same school. First loss was a friend of my son. And the day after it happened, I asked my son if he wanted to go to school that day, and he's like, yeah. So when he came back, I said, Ryan, how'd it go? And he's like, Dad, sorry if there's any counselors in the room, this is from a 14-year-old, okay? But he's like, Dad, they brought counselors in from all over the district. They were worthless. I'm like, okay, Ryan. He said, but what did help is a senior who had suffered the loss of a friend 3 years earlier asked if he could go talk to the class. And so he's like, That's what helped. So when November hit, we patterned what we wanted to do on that one act, that act of peer support. It was spontaneous, it wasn't trained, but kids were already doing it, right? So we looked around the country to see what schools were already doing this, and we didn't find a whole lot. So we started our own. We borrowed from some other programs. But the one thing that sets our program apart is we partnered with McNeese State University with the psychology department. And they have a clinic there called the K. Doré Clinic. And that's where their LPCs, the people that are getting trained to get their professional counseling license, they need to have 200 intern hours before they can get certified. So we created a partnership, a symbiotic partnership, where they go out to the school and get the hours they need, and the kids get free mental health care. They also, in addition to just providing mental health care, they actually train these kids in peer support. So it took us a year to convince our school district to allow this to happen. The biggest question we get is, how can kids be a substitute for professional counseling? The answer is they're not. They're a bridge to professional counseling. So that's what we do. We train kids to sit with other kids when they're going through something that's too big to handle on their own. If our kids identify a student in crisis, they refer them back to Ms. Jolie or whoever is their sponsor, and they get free professional health care on campus, mental health care. So this is our 10th anniversary. So we're really excited that we started out at one high school in Lake Charles, thanks to partners like Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we've now spread to where Caddo Parish has agreed to put us in all their high schools. We're in Dutchtown here, Beauchamp near Lafayette just started last week, and we're about to start in Beauregard Parish, which is about an hour north of Lake Charles. So slowly but surely, we're making inroads across the state. And so, we're really excited to be here. We're really excited to share this story. What we're really excited about, the reason events like this are so important is the networking that can happen. So we're really hoping that some seeds are planted today that, will come to fruition with some new partners, or, you may have some people in schools here, related to schools, whatever, that we can partner with and keep our mission going. In the past 2 years, the state of Louisiana has contracted with us. So, we went from a high school club at one school to now we're a 501c3 operating around the state. The state has a contract with us to go around the state and train kids in the same training that Frank trained us in. It's called ASSIST. So we're training students. It's a pioneering training. The person from LivingWorks who puts on that training is the national representative here. Hadn't heard of students being trained in this. Like she said, it's the same training, that EMTs go through, that counselors go through, that the U.S. military uses, but it was available. LivingWorks says it's appropriate for anyone 16 and older, but this national representative said she hadn't really heard of anyone doing that. She trained the first group of students with me. She was blown away by it. So right now we have a contract with the state to deliver that across the state, and we're gathering data. And if the data shows what we hope it will, then it's become a best practice to train students. So that's who we are. That's what we're doing. So now, I told you I wouldn't talk long. One of y'all grab a mic. On the table right there. Jazz, thanks for grabbing the mic first. You can turn it on. I'll introduce you first. You can just stand right there. Okay, so the first student I want to introduce you to is Jasmine Wooten. She's at Sam Houston High School. That's the high school where it all started. So I'm going to let Jazz introduce herself and just tell you how she came to be involved with this and what she's currently doing in her role there. Jazz?
Hi everybody, I'm Jasmine. How I became involved with this was back in my sophomore year. I had lost my cousin to suicide, and the worst part about it was he lived with us for a while, and they moved back to California, and I hadn't seen him, hadn't had any contact with him, but when I heard that it happened, all that I could picture in my brain was he was just a little boy, because that was the last time I saw him, was when he was a little boy. So I got involved with it because I thought this is something important, because my parents grew up where it was taboo to talk about. Nobody talked about it. They don't really talk about it with themselves, with me, but I'm hoping to spread it to them, get them to understand it better. It's a passion that I have. I want to help others. I want to support other people and be that light in their life, because it's very important. Everyone has struggled with it from what I've known, from what I've seen. It saved a lot of lives, because you wouldn't imagine someone going through something that they are, and then you see them and you talk to them about it, and it hits heavy on your heart. So this is my reason I'm doing it, and I'm hoping to continue doing it as I get older.
Hold on the mic. Thank you. So what training have you had?
I took Safe Talk when I was 15, and then I took Assist when I was 16. Safe Talk was about 3 to 4 hours. It kind of showed you how to be aware of people who might be struggling, and then Assist was a 2-day training. It was more serious, but more empowering than Safe Talk was. It actually teaches you how to interact with those who are struggling, how to be that bridge for those who are struggling. So those were the 2 trainings that I took.
And have you actually put your training to use?
I did. I put one to use in a peer support session, and then I put one to use outside of school.
So just in generalities, just describe what that would look like.
So in a peer support session, we go to the library at our school, and we go in a room, we put a little sign up saying that not to enter the room, stuff is happening in there. We sit down, and we have a little contract. I sign it, they sign it. It's all confidential. It's like having a real session with a regular counselor. We cannot tell anyone this person's business. However, we can't make promises either. So if they tell us that they're in a crisis, that they're thinking about suicide, they're thinking about anything, abuse, they're going through any of that, we have to be that bridge to either like Miss Sarah Jolie, Mr. Brown, or a counselor. So we can't make promises, but it is all confidential.
Thank you. You can hand the mic to Ash now. So Ashlyn is also a senior. He's a senior at Iowa High School. Ashlyn has been through this training, Assist, and he's just going to speak a little about what that training was and how it's impacted his school.
Hello, my name is Ashlyn Roberts. Like what Mr. Kent Brown said, I took the Assist training, like we heard earlier. It's a 2-day training, very long days, and it's very, very intense. It starts off with Safe Talk, where they kind of teach you how to identify these different signs. And then Assist is how you take action. The first day is really kind of introducing you to these heavy topics, because it is very heavy. It's troubling to talk about. But one of the benefits of Assist is that they don't sugarcoat anything. Everything is very real, because whenever you're dealing with these situations in your day-to-day, it is going to be real. No one's going to sugarcoat it. There's going to be no pillowing. It's going to be rough. And that's what this Assist training really tries to push to these people that are so passionate about helping out their peers. In the training, like what I said earlier, they talk about these topics, and there's also a lot of role play. I guess that's the best way to put it. They put you in scenarios that you might see. For me, one of the most crazy things that I saw that really kind of shocked me and put into perspective how real this training is on one of my days after some good talks, some real good discussion about what to do in these different scenarios. We were asked to close our eyes. And whenever we opened them, we were met with a scene.
Hold on, Ash. Frank will tell you, you're not supposed to go too far there. Remember, it's supposed to be a surprise to people that you're about to say. So, Frank, I saw Frank like, whoa, he was about to jump up there. So you can't give too much of the training away there. But you can say how it impacted you, though, so real quick.
Sorry. I'm gonna let
I got you, Frank.
But for me, from them showing you these very real scenarios, it allowed me, in my spaces, to better be prepared to deal with these things. Because it's very scary. It's very difficult to talk to somebody and have them tell you the scenario that they're in that really is life or death. And that's what the assist training trains you for. It's 2 very long days, constant activity, and there's not really much downtime because there's so much to cover, there's so much to prepare you for it, and that's truly what it does.
So Ash, in your day-to-day life at school, has it affected you there?
Oh, most definitely.
How's that?
So for me, I took it with a group of people, and for me, in my school space, you're interacting with all these students daily, you know, and you talk to so many different people, and what assist trains you to do is it teaches you to identify these different signs. And in my school, and all these people that took assist with me, we've been able to identify the signs in even our friend groups, and we've been able to tackle these things, give them the support that they need, work them to people that can give them proper care. And through the assist training that we received, I don't think I would have been able to do that prior to the training that I took. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Ash. Ash is going to be a politician at some point. I have to cut him off from time to time. Just so you know, he does the announcements every day at school and ad-libs a lot. So, you know, we enjoy the announcements. I don't know if other schools do, but we enjoy the announcements at Iowa High. Ash, go ahead and pass it. Okay, so our third student we're gonna meet here is Miss Evelyn. Miss Evelyn goes to Zachary High School. Evelyn, will you please go ahead and share your personal reason for doing this as well?
Okay, so when I was 11, I lost my cousin Karen to suicide, and I didn't know her well because she's older than me, but I did see the impact it had on my family, which was very real and present. And then my freshman year, one of my friends, I found out she had attempted to suicide, and it reminded me of everything I went through in middle school with Karen's death, and just that it was here, and it's present, and it's everywhere, and everyone I've talked to has known someone who was impacted by suicide, or their family member was impacted by suicide. So it's here, it's real, it's present, it's among us. Even this year, I've known more students at my high school who have attempted suicide or thought about attempting suicide, so it's a present risk that needs to be addressed, and I don't feel personally that it's been addressed enough in our area.
And so Evelyn's been through the assist training as well. Evelyn, how did it impact you just getting that training?
It was nothing like what I thought, so I kind of agreed to it pretty quickly. I was like, oh, cool, this is something I want to do, this would be great, a good skill to have. And I went to the training at Dutchtown, and it was completely not what I expected, but it changed my life in so many ways. And I don't know if I've told you this, Mr. Brown, but I have had to talk to one of my friends this year and put that training in action and make sure that she was getting the help she needed. So.
Please. Thank you. So, you know, this is amazing, right? We don't usually, I shouldn't say we don't usually, but, you know, a lot of times when we hear about our youth, it's not a lot of good stuff going on, right? So I think it's important. That's why wherever I go, I bring the kids with me to hear their voices and to see what they're doing. And it's an honor to, you know, empower them to use these skills to help save their peers. Just before we go to questions, you know, I think I'm doing, so I just want to say this, the reason it's so important to have organizations like Rotary, you know, give us a chance to speak, is, you know, like I said, we started as a high school club. This gives us credibility that allows us to get contracts with the state. Heck, this year, we actually spoke on a SAMHSA national forum. Believe it or not, you know, California and other places are contacting us to copy what we're doing. So we don't hear that very often either. So. But I said it's our 10-year anniversary. We're gonna have an event this year. Hopefully Michael and some of our partners will be there. But the thing I think I'm most proud of is 2016, State Farm took a chance on us, gave us a $50,000 grant, seed money. So, you know, we're gonna have them there, and it's pretty proud to say, look what your $50,000 turned into. Hopefully in 10 years, we'll have Michael there. Just so you know, Michael and his Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation are, we call y'all our sugar mama, but that's, they've invested over $300,000 in Peer Initiative. You know, hopefully, you know, you'll see where that grows to. Thank you, and hopefully, if you have questions, you know, we'd love to answer your questions now. It can be from me or the students.
Can y'all hear me? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I just want to say thank you. If everybody who knows me knows that this is my passion project, and it's not really thought of or heard of. We hear about the horror stories, but we don't hear about what's trying to be. So first of all, thank you guys for even putting yourself into it. My question is, do you provide counseling for the children once they hear these stories? Because a lot of people don't realize counselors have counseling.
Very good. So our first priority is taking care of our kids. So we have a parent meeting, and before they can agree to be on the peer support team, their parents have to sign intake paperwork for the counselors that work with us, so they can be debriefed. So yeah, they're mandated to already have that in place before they can meet it with a kid.
So what do you need most from a group like this?
Exposure. You know, we're still trying to grow into other areas. Like I said, credibility. It's still not talked about. And so, you know, when we go to a school district, you know, there still may be some reluctance. Luckily in Baton Rouge, y'all do have the EBR Cares that has, and the Capital Area HSA that has put counselors in schools. And so we are working with them to partner in schools. And, you know, money, that's the thing that it takes to, for us to travel around and do what we're doing. These assist trainings that we're talking about, they're about $5,000 each. That's just, is that about right? Okay. For the trainer cost, the materials and everything like that. So we're blessed, like I said, to have partners that are going with us, but as we spread, you know, just need more.